So you have. So we have at several parts of Parshat Noach used the location and shape of the note to denote compass directions. And you'll notice that the munach is underneath the word and pointing downwards. Hence, if we start from north at the top, they are in fact going southward from where they were, and then west from there. So we have a clear compass direction from the shape of the munach. Kina'an with a katon, with a two-part note, one dot above the other. Number 16, their voyage was expected to reach Canaan, which was under the domination of a son of Ham, as portrayed by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So while this land is the goal that they're going to, it is currently inhabited by others who are perhaps not so friendly, and certainly not as enlightened as Avram and his followers. Hence, we get the two-part note, with the land being something that's good, but those who are there and those who, in fact, the land is currently named after, not being so good. So, good land, bad contents. Hence, the two-part, one above the other note. Vayavo'u, tipcha, and again, tipcha focuses us backwards, and we've sort of learned the rule that we don't know quite how far back this is going to go. And at the beginning of the pasuk, we used it to say it encompassed all of the groups that are going. And here, number 17, after some wandering in strange lands, eventually they arrived at the outskirts of the unexpected country, as manifest by the reverse inclination of the reading mark. So here, instead of saying we're going to focus stuff on what we had done before, we're again using this note perhaps as a compass direction. They're getting to the land, and they're not going to overshoot it. They're not going to keep on going. Rather, they're going to stay there. They're going to have left somewhere else, and then that's going to be the buffer, the end of where they're going to go.
Well, there's an ocean there, so...
Well, if they kept on to Egypt, then it would be a problem, right? So going south and west, and that's the next destination. Arza, towards land of, with a marcha. This is lightly connected to what's come from before, but mostly moving us forward into what's going to go afterwards. Having reached the countryside, they proceeded towards land of the interior, to learn the life and attitude of the people, as revealed by the directional shape of the reading mark. So they're going to take what they've done from the journey, which is leave the culture from before behind. They're going to survey the culture of where they are, but they're going to move it forward into how they want to reshape it. Canaan. However, they found that the land Canaan continued living by the tradition of Canaan and Ham. So this has the Sof Pasuk, and even though they are trying to influence the people of the land towards their new ideas and new thoughts, the people are going to stay rooted in their previous thoughts and beliefs. So Canaan is going to stay Canaan, and rooted in the ideals that Ham had laid out. And we have a remark here, Vayelchu lalechet arza. So, and they went to go towards the land of, not li'aretz. They're not going to the land, but they're going to journey or to walk the land, because the exact destination was unknown. So they're not going to a specific location. They're going towards the land of, if you will. Rather, so we see Vayelech Harana with Terach, who's going towards Haran. That's his destination. But Vayetze Yaakov, we're seeing rather that Yaakov is going out, but we don't know where. Or Vayetze Yaakov mi Beersheva, Vayelech Harana. So sorry. So Yaakov is going out from one place, and he's going directly towards another place. Rashi's explanation there that Vayelech Harana equals Yetze Lalechet Lecharan is incorrect, because the Hey at the end indicates only a direction. Hey Akivun, the Hey that gives you direction, whereas Le or El confirms a destination. So
Again,
here
Le is
Le is towards. Or to. So when you say that you're going Lecharan, that means that is your destination. Whereas
L
with the Hey at the end. So Arza, to the land of, is much more indistinct and indirect, is what we're trying to say. Harana and Arza Canaan. So when you see those things, that is just telling you a general direction, but not saying that was your destination per se. You're going in the direction of, not necessarily to.
towards, but not to.
Well, he's saying it's Hey Kivun. It's giving you the direction, and you could either go and stop somewhere before or stop somewhere after. You're just going that way. So you're going westwards versus going to the west, if you will. As we read through the sentence with the clauses overemphasized, we're going to notice that the Tlisha Ktana, the note on Avram number 2, does not have a pause after it. It's going to lead into all of these various groups. We're going to crescendo at Ishto. We're going to say that Avram and Sarah and the followers, that's building up, building up, building up, and then Lot ben Achiv is a separate category because he's got a responsibility to him, so he's still taking him along, but he is not continuing this upwards ramping of importance. And Rechusham Asher Rachashu, that again is another category, and it's going to get a pause after it. That Hanefesh Asher Asu b'Charan, and the people from Haran, and again they're going to get their own category. Vayetzu, that they're departing not with a particular destination, just that they're departing. They're leaving for the sake of leaving, is going to again stand alone, and they're going towards Canaan. That is going to again be separated from the fact that so they're going out of somewhere, so that they're not in there anymore. They're going to go towards the direction of an ideal. God says go that way, so we're going to go that way. And then they're going to come, and the land is going to be not as influenceable as they felt that it would be. So Arza Canaan is going to stay as the land that is influenced by Canaan rather than the land that is influenced so much by Avram. So we'll read through it, and perhaps we'll see some of those things. Vayikach Avram et Sarai ishto v'et Lot ben Achiv v'et kol rechusham asher rachashu v'et hanefesh asher asu b'charan vayetzu lalechet arza Canaan vayavohu Arza Canaan. Hopefully some of that came out as we separated out the words. And we are on page 8, 12.6, Vayavor, with a mapach. So this is going to gather stuff that was from before and narrow it to a focus. And he passed, number 1, when Avram arrived in Canaan, he proceeded southwards, and he passed various districts. He did not notice any significant difference in behavior between one place and the other. Uncontrolled harshness and roughness was common to all, as indicated by the shape of the reading mark. So again, Avram is trying to to give new direction to the places that he's going through, and he's going to notice that they all have the same thing, and he is going to try to focus them towards his way. Avram, number 2. Among the people of that country, Avram saw such opposition to his progressive ideas that his efforts were doomed to fail, even before any start could be made to change their habits, as shown by the directional shape of the reading mark. Even though Avram is going to proceed forward, he is going to be the one who is standing out and standing alone amongst these people. Ba'aretz, with the bipartite note, with the one dot above the other, with a katon, number 3, in the land. The style of life in the land was based on various types of violence, as pointed out by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So again, even though the land is the land that God told them to go to, which is the higher of the 2 dots, the land is obviously still following the lower morality that was set out for them by Canaan, son of Ham. Ad, till, so this is a yativ. This is not a mapach. A yativ is the same shape as a mapach. It gathers things from before, but it has an additional characteristic. It actually comes before the very first letter of the word and focuses us backwards. And unlike a mapach, which is a joining note, which is a mashar, it's something that joins us to the next word that's going to come afterwards, the yativ stands alone. It has a pause afterwards. Ad, number 4. Even though Avram was walking for quite a while, he could not stop because of the raging attacks by bands, till he arrived to an organized settlement, as stressed by the shape of the reading mark. So again, he is going to bear the perils of the road throughout the entire journey, and that's only going to stop when he arrives and forms a place where he is going to temporarily settle. So all of this that's going to happen from before is going to continue until the point where he changes from a traveler into a resident, if you will.
Another question. Till as opposed to until. So like, it's really, the word is really until, correct? Or is it? Like in translation,
No.
would there have been a reason to use just till specifically? Like we just use it as a slang, short form for until. Really not the word.
So when you're talking in a sentence, and I don't, because he uses it again later on in the sentence.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that this is just the common usage that he had, rather than anything specific about using that translation.
Okay.
So I don't think it's specific to that note or that word particularly. I think it's just the phrase that he's comfortable using, and I will try and keep it in mind the next time we get the word ad, and we'll see what he does with it.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly in this sentence he uses it twice, with different notes, with different concepts to the notes. So I don't think it's particularly relevant to one or the other.
Now, if you if you just read that word somewhere, how would you have translated it? Until?
Until.
Oh. Could just be the word he was used to.
So, ad has a sense of towards, in the direction of, and just reaching. So,
Yeah, it does actually. Until makes it sound more.
Is it as a Gemara
endless.
saying like ad velo something? Right, like in Gemara it says ad velo it didn't reach, I don't know what the phrase is.
Is that here or is that in Shuvah? I think the more famous use of the word ad is we're going to come up soon to
Right.
Shabbat Shuvah. We're going to come up Shuvah Yisrael Ad Hashem Lecha.
Right.
So the people of Israel should return. They should do Shuvah Ad Hashem Lecha until you reach God, which means that not El. You don't have to go all the way there.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go, and God's going to meet you part of the way back. So if you go in that direction, He will meet you. So it's Ad Velo El. I don't know that there's another one on this. It doesn't stick in my mind that there's another one on this one, but I'll have to look it up.
In the Parsha.
Hmm?
In the Parsha. Not Nitzavim, or one of the other ones. In Devarim we talk
No,
about...
Ad Asher Yaniach Hashem Lachechem Kachem. Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, that another one doesn't stick in my mind like that. But so we'll go on. So again, Ad with the focus being this is again part of the goal in and of itself to turn the place into not only not a destination, but a place where once you stop, you're going to create the reality there. So it isn't the actual place itself that was the destination, but it's the fact that you are stopping there that turns it into the destination. Mekom, a place with a munach which separates itself out from what was before and moves us forward into what's going to come afterwards, because it was a place which was inhabited by many people, wandering gangs avoiding operating there, as denoted by the shape of the reading mark. So this is a place where you don't have to worry so much about the various brigands and thieves that you would meet along the road, because there are too many people there for them to operate, and people just wouldn't let that happen in their midst. So the place, in fact, creates its own stability, which is different from the turmoil that you had along the path of the road. Shechem, with a katon, with a two-part note, and a pause afterwards. The halting site Avram made was the district of Shechem, which was later known for several events that occurred there, as suggested by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So initially, it has certainly the inhabitants, which are people who, in fact, will later plot against the Jews and take Dinah and so on, and yet Avram's arrival and designation of this as one of the places where he's going to set up camp gives it a higher purpose as well. So it has both the lower purpose and a higher purpose, and hence the two-part note with one above the other. Ad, till, with a tipcha. So this is going to focus us backwards and pause slightly afterwards. I'm sorry, we have an extra note on from before. Ad mekom Shechem, till a place called Shechem. Rashi's explanation seems inadequate to me. Some call Shechem a dangerous place, mekom puranut. In my opinion, it may be feasible. Vayavor Avram ba'aretz ad mekom Shechem. After Avram traversed the land, seeing only brutality, he saw even increasing danger and was convinced to turn to God, ad makom. So the word makom is not saying place, it's being used here as one of God's names, like ad hamakom. So until one of the names of God, which occurred at his arrival in Shechem. Hence, ad makom Shechem instead of ad Shechem. So the word makom, or mikom here, the place of, is superfluous. He could have just gone ad Shechem. So by adding another word in, you have to see what the extra word adds, and because that word is essentially one of God's names, Avram seeing the godliness in the place, if you will, or the potential godliness in the place, makes it a reason that he stopped there, which is different from Rashi's explanation that it was a place of danger. So using makom rather than hamakom. So again, the word is superfluous. Superfluous words in Torah always demand that we say why they are there and what they symbolize. And Ayin Panim LaTorah, there are 70 possible interpretations of anything that you see, and they both have a reality. They both have a place in explaining part of the story. And certainly, it was a dangerous place. It was also a place that later became something that was good, and we saw that with the Katon on Shechem, with the fact that Shechem had both its good elements and its bad elements in it. So certainly the word Mekom can have both those good elements and bad elements implied within it as well. So not to argue with the Mechaber Sefer, with the good doctor, rather to say that it adds even more validity to the Katon and the Shechem, that you can have both a good interpretation of the word makom and a bad interpretation of the word makom. So I think both of them are there. Ad, till, with a tipchan, number 7, so he's going to focus this backwards and pause slightly afterwards. Continuing his journey to the south, Avram proceeded till another location for the next stopover, as referred backwards by the directional shape of the reading mark. And even though going to a safer place is going to allow Avram to perhaps have some stability and less chance of being harassed, he continues the journey on. So he goes to yet another location, and this is saying that again the journey supersedes the importance of the destination. Elon, oak, with a munach. So this is going to separate itself out from what's come from before and mostly move us forward into what's going to go afterwards. It was a terrace around an old oak, which had also served for festivities of the local inhabitants, as expressed by the shape of the reading mark. And I'm not sure if this is from Midrash or where this is derived from. Nonetheless, certainly this is something that was one way before and is going to be something different after Avram displays his influence there. Mareh, of Mareh, with the stabilizing at we've got another comment. I'm sorry. On my visit there, I brought back some nuts from that tree, which was fenced off and looked very old. I even received a postcard with a picture of it. So in fact, this Elon, this tree has a history, and it is noteworthy enough that it's got its own postcard. Moreh. This tree was well known, and the whole area was known by the Oak of Moreh, as specified by the stabilizing shape of the reading mark. So in fact, this is a true landmark. This is a thing that makes that place something of note, and hence it gives it importance and makes it something that is more recognizable and something that people will travel towards, and that's why it gets the stabilizing at Naftah. The Haknani and the Canaanite with the Tipcha. This is going to push us backwards to what's come from before and pause afterwards. Because a proper denomination of that country was deferred It was only described as a place of occupancy, and the Kanaani, who would eventually lose his title to the land, as illustrated by the reverse inclination of the directional reading mark. So the Kanaani is going to be a thing of the past when we look as him as the owner of the land at that time. That is going to be from before, and it's going to come to a close here. Hence, we have the Tipcha saying they were the prior owners, and that is something that is going to end. And really, you wouldn't apply that logic to V'haknani az ba'aretz. The Knani is in the land then. You wouldn't apply that unless you really had a sensitivity to the fact that a tipcha is a closing note with a pause afterwards. So this is not something that you would intuit otherwise. So this is something that true. So this is sort of the closing breaths of the reign of the Kanaani, if you will, and it is very poetically expressed in the tipcha that's there. Az, then with the mercha, lightly connected to what's come from before, but mostly moving us forward into what's going to go afterwards. Only then Canaan had occupied this land, which did not belong to him as a son of Ham. His territory was expected to be much further to the south, as conveyed by the directional shape of the reading mark. And again, he's then at that time he's there, but he was supposed to be somewhere else. He was supposed to be in another direction. Ba'aretz, in the land. Number 12, with the stabilizing Sof Pasuk. Another nation will be established in the land with legitimate titles. So this has the stability of the fact that the Jews are going to come there and are going to make the land more than it was before, after many difficulties and challenges, and the name will be properly adjusted. And when the Jews are there, the land is going to have a different name, and the Kanaani is going to be a thing of the past.
Last day of the Kanaanite.
As we read through the sentence and overemphasize the pauses, we are going to notice that the first ad with the yativ on it is going to stand out and be strongly emphasized. The word is in fact going to stand alone to emphasize the fact that the journey is what was important, getting towards something rather than getting actually reaching that spot. We're going to pause after each destination, Makom Shechem, and again ad with a pause after it, Elon Mareh, and that's going to be a stabilizing influence. And the Kanaani, and their influence is going to be over. Az ba'aretz, they're there in the land at that time. Vayavor Avram ba'aretz ad mekom Shechem ad Elon Mareh v'haknani az ba'aretz. Pause tape for a second.